You're good to go, Dave.
All righty, meeting call to order. Today is Tuesday, July 7th. It is now 7:05 p.m. Town Council meeting via Zoom.
Councilman Licciardi,
Here.
Councilman Messier, Councilwoman Williamson,
Here.
Council Vice President D'Amico,
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
There is a quorum. Discussion, action, vote of the town council. In any matter on this portion of the agenda may be acted upon by way of topic discussion and action by the town council with a vote on the record to approve, amend, deny, or table the agenda item. Discussion regarding actions and planning pertaining to addressing COVID-19 and the impact on town operations. Town manager's update.
Ernie?
Thank you. Last week, June 30th, the state of Rhode Island went into the phase 3 reopening of Rhode Island plan. And there was some little changes from the prior discussions about what some of the changes may be. And some of the guidance that was expected was changed based upon concerns of high number of cases, positive COVID-19 in other states, in fact, many other states. So indoor social gatherings was increased to 25 as opposed to 50 to 75, which was discussed earlier. And outdoor social gatherings limit is 50, and previously the expectation was 75 to 150. And the governor also instituted some travel requirements for individuals coming into the state of Rhode Island from states that are having a positive test rate of 5% or more. They'd be required to quarantine for 14 days coming into Rhode Island or having a negative test done within 72 hours of coming into Rhode Island. So what's happening is as sure everyone knows, national statistics are alarming. The surge is coming back in many states in the South, West, and record highs just about every day is coming in for national and various states as far as positive tests. And again, what is alarming is the age demographics of the average individual being tested positive are much lower than, the elderly. It's in the 29-ish, late 20s, early 30s ages. So again, there is this resurgence, and it appears the governor has tamped back some of the proposed regulations that she was considering. So again, what it means for cities and towns and the town of West Warwick, a number of executive orders were extended to at least August 3rd. There was a renewal of the emergency declaration to August 3rd. There's a continuation in the time period extension for police departments to review and conduct background checks for gun purchasers. Face mask requirements are still in place. So again, what we're seeing nationwide is basically going backwards, whereas Rhode Island is still slow and steady going forwards, but at a little lesser pace than what the governor had anticipated. On the town front, last week we held our first municipal court with appropriate new safety guidelines, and that went well. So municipal court is back in session, and again they are planning for a full operation in the future. But we did have municipal court here in the building, and it went very well, as I understand it. We're holding a probate meeting tomorrow in Town Hall, the first one, I believe, and other meetings with probate are being done by Zoom. So again, certain functions are coming back to Town Hall. And again, there's a reliance at the present time on Zoom meetings. And where we are internally, again, we are still in the preparation stages for our reopening. Again, we have ordered plexiglass barriers. They are still, not delivered yet, so those will be coming in. A floor plan will need to be established where we have flows through the building, have certain places where citizens can stand while they're waiting for service, and departments may be limited in how many people they can serve, maybe 1, 2, it depends on, the area they have to work with. So these plans are being worked out while we're waiting for our remaining safety precautions, as well as having stations for hand sanitations and so on. So basically the same things that many businesses are doing, or stores that you visit and things of that nature. So that's where we are now. The Civic Center is open not only for the ice arena portion, but the Civic Center portion, and both sides are operating, so 2 groups can be there. But again, there are strict guidelines that are being enforced. So that's being done for social distancing and sanitary sanitation measures. But again, it's good to see that facility operating because it is a service to the community, and it does raise revenues to pay the expenses there. Recreation fields are being scheduled for future use. And as I said, the town hall remains open for work, but the actual building is closed to the public without individuals having appointments, but we have the services using emails, internet, telephone, mail. Another drop box has been installed in the back of town hall, the parking lot entrance, close to the door for dropping off tax bills and things of that nature, as well as the mailbox that we have. So the question is, where do we rank with other cities and towns opening up? And there are some, my understanding through the calls that we're on, the vast majority are still in a process. As a town of West Warwick, we're open for business, but closed to the public with these certain exceptions. So I believe that cities and towns, as well as other entities, are seeing how the phase 3 goes. And if it goes according to plan and we receive all of our required safety equipment, those will all be judgments and information used to have an opening date, because we certainly want to get back to a full service building here so that the public can have their needs addressed without having to go through these protocols that we have right now, which have been going quite well, but certainly we want to open up for business, which is our responsibility and our service to the public. So with that, that's my prepared comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can.
Any questions from Ernie from the council? I have 2, but if anybody else has any questions. Ernie, playgrounds, will we be putting equipment back up as far as swings and all that anytime soon? That was asked this week.
I believe playground and facilities can be reopened, and I would have to check with the Director of Public Works as to when they can be installed, but my belief is that playgrounds are up and running as long as certain precautions will be made. But I will check with the Director of Public Works, and I will get you an answer tomorrow on that.
Yeah, the swings and all that haven't been reinstalled.
Right.
The next thing with Parks and Rec, as far as assistance, and I know it's been a little hectic in the past few weeks. I know there's only 2 employees there. Why don't we reach out to Karen Tavasevich and Ken Townsend and see if they can help maintain Amby Smith, since they already cut Crompton Playground. They maintain outside of Amby Smith. They used to maintain Amby Smith, but they were asked by our Parks Department years ago, don't worry, we'll take care of it. But maybe we can ask for them to assist us and help us during these busy times. And maybe even the Civic Center, because they're still cutting the high school grass and all the way around it. They're actually going behind the Civic Center. This is just to help out Parks and Rec temporarily until we get the bodies in there. And then they can focus on getting the swing sets up and getting things like that done. I know I took a ride on the bike path this weekend, 13 lovely miles between 3 towns. And we're in pretty decent shape on the bike path. There's some areas, you know, right on the Coventry, West Warwick line with some overgrowth, but all in all, I think we're in good shape there. So, you know, if we continue, I know Don's been having DPW work it as much as they can also. But if we can reach out to our counterparts in the school department and see if they can help assist, because they do have some part-time helpers throughout the summer too.
Cool.
As far as the swings, I was still under the understanding that the playgrounds were still closed. But if that's not the case, I can get the equipment put back up, you know, within a day or two.
Thank you, Don.
I guess yeah, are we sure that that is, and what protocols will we have in place for sanitizing those? I assume that's still required.
Yeah, I just chime in here quick. I haven't seen guidance on how often, we're supposed to sanitize or clean or disinfect any of the playgrounds. So I'll look into that, but I have not seen that guidance come out yet. So I don't know what our responsibility would be. You know, if we've got to do it every couple hours, 4 times a day, 3 times a day, or whatever. The guidance is, I haven't seen that put out yet.
Guys, just to be clear, if it's going to require an effort to sanitize, to go out there and spray and do all of that, I do not have the personnel to do that. So if at this time that's a requirement, then I would suggest we don't open them until we get, you know, a little bit further on in this pandemic.
Yeah, that's fine. Chief, if you can find out what's going on there, and maybe we can touch base on this later.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Ernie? Thank you, Ernie. Mary Ann, you're muted.
Consent agendas. Hold on, it's opening. I think it's opening. Come on. License applications. Let me just see if I can get on my phone because it's not opening here.
Mary Ann, just for the record, Councilman Messier is here now. Just want to make that.
Okay. Good, thanks. All right, hold on a sec. Let me just get to. Okay, wait a minute. Sorry. Town meetings. I don't know why this is not coming up right now for me, but I can't get the license applications to open to read the resolved part of it. It's only opening halfway for me. Dave, could you read that, the license applications under consent agendas, whatever why it won't open in my system, I don't know. Oh wait, hold on, here it goes. All right, here we go. License applications. Oh no, the resolution is not on.
Oh, it says on the agenda, Mary Ann.
Yeah, there's no resolution there.
I'll move the license applications.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if we can even move it, not a resolution.
Tim?
No.
Should we hold it till the 21st?
Correct.
Table it.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
I'll move to table the license applications until the agenda is updated with the proper information.
Second.
All right.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, hold on. And Something's wrong with my computer here. Give me one sec. All right, we're gonna go here. Minutes of the previous agendas. Resolved that the minutes of the June 16th, 2020 FY21 public hearing, June 16th, 2020 town council meeting, and June 22nd, 2020 town council special meeting are hereby accepted.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Move second, discussion.
Yes, actually, there are several changes that have to be made, I believe, or at least we should discuss on the public hearing meeting minutes of June 16th. Item letter D, discussion of town manager. Second sentence says that they became cognizant of the fact that increases would be coming in this year's healthcare premiums. Ernie, I don't believe that's true, is it? It was actually a reduction
Correct,
in what we thought we were going to pay.
correct. We budgeted, I believe, 5%, and the premiums that came in, like the week before our meeting, was at 0, so it's a reduction.
So savings as opposed to an
Savings.
increase in expense.
Yes.
The item letter E regarding the proposed budget. Contribution, last sentence in the first paragraph, contribution be funded, pension contribution be funded for FY21 at 100% instead of 105. That should actually be 100.5%, 100.5, not 105, which difference would be 167. Offsetting, and it says the school committee proposed reduction. Well, it wasn't the school committee. It was actually the town manager that made that proposed reduction. School committee. That is being added back to the budget. I'm not sure that's even needed. So that's all on those minutes. And then on the minutes for the special town meeting held on June 22nd. Letter E, agenda item letter E. Finance Director Benoit reported the tax rate increased by 192, 43 cents a thousand. Levy increased by 158. That's correct. It then says the budget for current year tax collection rate is going up 393,333, and the total budget is going up 1,930,498. That I'm not sure the tax collection number is needed, Kristen. I'll leave that up to you. But the total budget isn't going up $1,000,009. It's actually going up $1,093,093, not 930.
That's correct.
So the number should be $1,093,498 as opposed to $1,930,498. And I'm not sure there's a need for that second sentence in there about the tax. Ernie and Kristen, I'll let you comment on that. The budget for current year tax collection rate is going up by 393,333. I'm not sure
really,
what.
It's not a collection rate, really.
No.
I don't think that's necessary.
So I would remove.
It's
That's
just the revenue for current year tax
Correct.
collections is going up.
Correct.
So
I don't think there's a need for that second sentence, but clearly that the budget number, increase of the budget needs to be changed from $1,930,498 to $1,093,498.
And the second sentence really isn't necessary as well, so that could be deleted.
So Mary Ann, do you have those changes?
Got them. You want to approve as amended or put it on the next agenda?
Tim, is there a protocol there?
No, because you can amend it because the minutes are the minutes and they were already recorded. It was just an error in the posting from the clerk, so you guys can move to amend because then they'll line up with what was actually said at those meetings.
That being said, then I would make a motion to approve those minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes,
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay, so, wording to be used on July 16th, 2020 ballot for the all-day vote on the fiscal year 2021 town budget. Resolved that the town council hereby adopts the following wording to be placed on the ballot for the all-day vote on the FY 2021 town budget on July 16th, 2020. Annual town budget. Shall the annual town budget for the town of West Warwick be passed in the total amount of $101,751,513 for fiscal year FY 2021.
I'll move the resolution. I just want to note, though, that it should be closed quotes at the end.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Any comments?
Again, the quote should be closed.
Catch that, Marianne?
Got it.
Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
I'm voting no because I still believe we should be getting revenue from the Civic Center, which would change that total amount.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
yes,
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes.
Can you tell me who seconded that?
Jason Messier.
Okay. Very good. Sidewalk replacement. Hold on one sec. Sorry.
Actually claims.
Oh, we're to the claim. Hold on a minute. Claim. Oh, that is the sidewalk replacement.
yes,
No, hold on. Okay, let's go. Resolved that the town council hereby approves the following sidewalk replacement reimbursement claim against the town. Rick Pimentel, 4143 Woodside Avenue, in the amount of $475.
I'll move the claim.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Just want to give you some brief history on this. Mr. Pimentel, back in 2018, reached out to me about the sidewalk eroding from the front of his house and wiping out his entire front yard. Kent County Water, the meter was sticking up out of the shuttle was sticking up out of the sidewalk. I met with the former director and the assistant director out there. They told them it would be taken care of. And it went on for almost 2 years and kept getting, it'll get done, it'll get done, it'll get done. So Mr. Pimentel took it upon himself to get everything fixed. It's not 100%, but it's definitely 98%, and it's much safer for the community and the neighborhood. And he put $950 into it. So I told him to fill out the sidewalk repair claim, and I had it submitted to Don. Don felt that it should come before the council. There is no money in that specific account, but we all know there's some money in DPW. And personally, I think if we sent our DPW there, just in material would have cost us over $500, and never mind the labor. So I think it's a fair deal that we give Mr. Pimentel 50% of his time, effort in taking care of this and waiting 2 years to get it done. And that's the reason why I brought it before the council.
so, a point of, on the agenda, it actually says Robert Pimentel. On the resolution, it says Rick Pimentel. I don't know if that matters.
Again, you can make the oral amendment to change it because what's more important is not the owner of the property, but the address. And I believe 41 and 43 Woodside Avenue is the correct address.
Yes, this is, actually, I think it's Mickey Lima's old house, to be exact. And he was actually on the town to fix that sidewalk for years before he had actually passed away also.
So you said 50%. What was the number, David?
Well, it's $950 that he submitted a receipt for, so
If you pay 50%, you think materials would be 500 anyway?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just our labor would be over 500. If you look at the man hours or whatever, that's the only reason I'm agreeing to it. Normally, these don't usually come to the council when they fill out for the sidewalk application to get 50% back. It usually is between the town manager and the DPW director. This is the first time I've ever seen this come to the council. So I said, okay, I'll bring it to us. And I just wanted to say, state his case because, like I said, he was promised by DPW and not by Don. By no means, he's not at fault here. This was over 2 years, 2018, summer of 2018, and he took care of it in the summer of 2020, spring of 2020.
This is just a citizen taking advantage of a program that's already in place by ordinance.
Any other questions on that?
No, so the agenda, I don't know, you need to amend the agenda, but clearly the minutes need to reflect it's Rick Pimentel and not Robert Pimentel.
I'm all for people trying to beautify their own property and fix their own property, especially when they've had to wait a couple of years. I know I have that in my ward as well. But people have been on the list 3 directors ago. But I just want to make sure that anybody that comes forward now and wants to do something like this, they're going to be granted that same consideration.
Yeah, well, Councilman, I can agree with that, but this is a process that's already in place for a sidewalk reimbursement. And I agree, if anybody's going to replace their sidewalk and they're going to fill out the proper paperwork, and because I think it's up to $1,000 they can get.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will stand by that for anybody who is actually fixing the sidewalk in front of their house. It's a program that we have in place. You know, we also, I know Don and Al DiFiore are still working on the sidewalk stuff, and we put it off with the COVID going on and everything and being shorthanded, but we'll also be doing some of that work ourselves, and hopefully we'll be able to keep up with that type of stuff now that we'll be able to focus on that. But, you know, I totally agree with you 100%, but if it's something like runoff in their backyard or something, it's hard, but this is a process that's already in place, and I was kind of forced to bring it to the council.
No, I hear you, Dave. I would have done the same thing. I'm for giving them half. I just want to make sure that, you know, down the road as this comes up, because I know it's going to come up again, that we're going to be doing the same thing. So,
hey, if anybody comes before us with sidewalk repair, I am. If they want to go 50%, I'll support you.
Yeah, I would believe the reason why it's before the council, because the work was done prior to, you know, the application process, for the reasons that you mentioned, Mr. President. If a resident follows the process, fills out the application, meets the criteria, is done according to the requirements, then yes, they all should be treated the same way. And it should be approved administratively.
Yep.
Can I make a quick statement? One of the other issues with that particular ordinance is that we did not fund it, and therefore there is no pot of money to turn around and do that. I believe in the past you have funded that activity.
Yeah. Initially, I would think through the Department of Public Works budget, you know, requests could be made, especially if it's a request up to $1,000. If for some reason there is a lot of requests, then a specific funding source could be found, such as a capital account, because there is funding available for public works projects there as well.
Any other comment? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Authorization to award the 3-ton asphalt recycling hot box bid 2020-09 from Viking Sives for $34,758.82.
You may want to move the
Sorry, move the resolution.
I'll second.
moved and seconded.
If you remember, these items were approved in the winter. And this is just the process that they went through the bid process. And Don, I'll let you speak to the process and the results.
We ended up receiving 6 separate bids from 3 different companies. And after having 2 of them were just outside of the 35,000 that we allocated. 2 of them were, again, as we started looking through the process, we had Falcon, who is what I presented to you at the beginning. We had a demo from them, a very good demo, good piece of equipment. I'd be happy with that. Then we had another demo that was done by Viking, and their machine's a little bit more user-friendly. It only has 1 burner versus 2. It has oil-filled walls so that the heat dissipates quicker or through the material better. It's a little bit more efficient. It also has hydraulic doors for both the front and for the top, which means you won't have any of the material spilling out onto the roadway. So I think it's a little bit safer. And the difference between the pricings are all within $1,000. So when I did the analysis on this, I felt it was better for us to go with the a little bit technical, better piece of equipment versus going with the Falcon. And the low bid was actually from Viking for one that had air filled, and it just didn't quite meet the requirements. So again, my recommendation was with the Viking Chives Corporation.
So the resolution itself, when the bids are presented, the Viking RFP number 2, I believe that's a typo on that resolution. That resolution, I believe you want it to read 34,758.82, which is indeed the amount on the agenda and the amount in the body of the resolution. However, I think someone just put the same number for both Viking, and I believe it's Viking number 2 that you want, which is still same company. It's just a little better product.
That's
I
correct.
think that's what I'm hearing.
That's correct.
So the attachment for the bids received should indeed be changed to make sure that RFP number 2 for Viking reflects the amount that's on the agenda.
Okay, will do.
Any other comment? Any questions for Don? That being said,
Don, when is this going to happen?
We could have that piece of equipment. My guess would be within 2 weeks.
Okay, and you're set to use it, right away?
Yeah.
Again, I need personnel, as you all know, but my
We know.
intent is to put a 4-man crew on that piece of equipment and to try to work them pretty much year round, fixing potholes and the
Don,
change.
Don, this has got nothing to do with the bid, so I would just ask the council to move on off the subject. All you're doing is
Okay.
authorizing the award for the purchase. You're not getting into the DPW work schedule.
Gotcha.
Any other comment? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Authorization to award the salt shed bid number 2020-10 from Structures Unlimited LLC for $10,880.
Move the
Don?
resolution.
Gotta move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Moved by Councilman D'Amico, seconded by Councilman Messier.
Don, again, same scenario. We approved this expenditure and this to go out to bid back in the winter, and bids were opened recently. Don?
Yes, and we ended up with two bids. One from ClearSpan, which was the product that I introduced to you. And then this one, which was a new product that I hadn't seen before. And as I checked out their references and everything else, they were $3,000 less, and they seem to have a more than adequate product. And everybody that's used the Structures Unlimited seems to be very happy with the product that they've gotten.
Any questions for Don? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Authorization to award the road rehabilitation services contract number 2020-13 to D'Ambra Construction Company Incorporated for $335,374.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
I have a question on this, only because it's not a, it's a service and it's not a piece of equipment like we just had talked about. I just want to make sure that there's no hidden costs with any of the bids. If the bid is $335, it's obviously going to be, it's two roads, I believe. One of them is Church Street, and the other is
Harris Avenue.
is it Harris? Harris
Yes.
Avenue.
Yes.
That 335 doesn't turn into like 380. I mean, they're pretty straight roads. I don't know if anybody's following me with this or.
But I do want to talk about, and I'll be the white elephant in the room here. I know D'Ambra is the low bidder. Don, you'll be overseeing this project.
Yes, I will.
I know on Tyoke Ave in Coventry, they've had some issues, so I just don't want that to be Church Street and Harris Avenue.
Again, this should be a pretty straightforward road project. The only item that was left out of this bid was the traffic signals at the corner of Church and Cohasset, and I'm working with the state to try to do that. That may add an additional $5,000 to get that done. If it becomes too expensive, we'll simply skip that until we do Cohasset Avenue.
Get that, Jay?
Yeah, I'm just making sure, because I know this is the second time I put in for this grant, so.
So
but-
I assume that if that changed or it went above that amount, it would have to come back and be
Right.
looked at. I assume that that's how it works. That's how it
Change
should
orders need
work.
to be approved.
Yes.
What was that? I didn't
Change
hear.
orders need to be approved.
Thank you.
David, this is Elaine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So we really have no reason to believe that there are any hidden costs that should arise Both Don and I reviewed the bids together. There's about a $30,000 difference between D'Ambra and the other next closest bid. It's well within our budget. The contractor does not know what our budget is, and I prefer to keep it that way, but we do have funding if there is a need for a change order. But again, as Tim and Mary Beth both said, they have to be inspected and approved prior to any change order even happening. And that would be, under Don's realm, of course, as the engineer.
Thank you, Elaine.
You're welcome.
Quick question. With this, once the bid, so the bid will be awarded tonight. Is there a time frame for the company to begin and end the project?
And we have a deadline of September 15th for completion. Once it's awarded tonight and the resolution is signed, we will issue them a notice to proceed. We generally will attach the bid document as the contract between the town and the contractor, if that's okay with the council. Otherwise, we would have to draw up a special contract. But historically, that is what we have done for roadway projects.
And that does make sense to me and certainly would help move the project along.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One more question, because one of the projects is in my ward, with Church Street. Will we be notified when the project will be taking place?
Sure.
There will be a redirection?
Sure.
Can I elaborate on that real quick?
Of course.
There'll be a notice of award that goes out to D'Ambra. They will have to get all their insurance and all of that paperwork done. That normally takes about 10 days. As you probably know, I'm on vacation for 2 weeks, but it's my intent to have a neighborhood meeting out on Church Street and Harris Avenue to discuss both projects. D'Ambra says this is a 9 to 12 day project, so I don't see this being a real long-term project. I think we should be able to finish by September 15th.
Perfect. Don, just please keep me in the loop with Church.
Will do.
And me with Harris.
Thank you.
All right, I'll take a roll call. Any other questions? I'll take the roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes. And I want to thank Elaine for getting that grant money and Don helping with that also. That's an excellent, two main arteries here, one in West Warwick, one on my side and one on Jay's side of West Warwick. So thank you for the hard work you guys do.
You're welcome.
Excellent job. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cancellation of taxes. Tax collector recommends a cancellation of taxes in the amount of $42,230.45.
Move the cancellation of the taxes.
Second.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion?
Actually, just a question, maybe for the solicitor. Taxes associated with bankruptcy filings. So do we just, we're just out of luck? Is that what happens with that?
Normally, if it's worth the while for the town to go after them, it's a good number. We will fight it and we'll try to get as much as we can. But normally with these small numbers, it costs more to obtain the money than it does to actually wait for it. So that's why we usually get rid of them.
So is there sort of a number that makes sense where we do go after it? Do we have a number in our head that?
Well, with Capo Bianco, you notice that they've got all the taxes in there for all the years.
Yeah.
So if we had started the process earlier trying to take collection and they weren't paying, normally there's nothing that they have that can go to tax sale. So with a bankruptcy, once the trustee comes in and gets rid of everything, there's nothing left over for us because the trustee is going to make sure the federal government gets paid first and then the state government before West Warwick gets paid. So if there is any outstanding taxes, that's the order of payment. So normally we're left last, and the trustee's not going to have any monies left over to pay us.
Okay, so even though it's, you know, upward, in excess of $30,000, we don't think it's worthwhile.
No, because again, we could file numerous pleadings for relief and attempt to get payment. But at the end of the day, when the trustee presents to the judge is going to say there's only X amount of dollars. So the federal government and the IRS and the Treasury Department is going to get the bulk of that. State is next, and normally there's nothing left over. So we'd actually be spending more money to get the same answer that's been there for the last 25 years.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
Yes.
Councilman Messier?
yes,
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Cancellation of taxes, tax assessor. The tax assessor recommends cancellation of taxes from the tax roll in the amount of $4,866.95.
Move the cancellation of taxes.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
Yes.
Councilman Messier?
yes,
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Tax incentive agreement for the remodeling, modernizing of 80,000 plus minus square foot industrial building at 100 Pulaski Street, West Warwick, also identified as Assessor's Plat number 9, lot 160, by and between Peach Buds LLC, DBA LaCroix Properties, and Little Roadie Storage in the town of West Warwick, sponsored by Councilman Licciardi.
Move the agreement.
This was something that we talked about last month. And I believe, Tim, you had mentioned there was a wording issue, and we had the owner had to go in and talk with Sal, our tax assessor, to clear up that wording, and that's why it's back on here now. I believe that was done.
Yes, it was actually that the numbers on the attached schedule did not make sense. They didn't add up to what was in the document itself. So it does look like that attachment A now is correct and reflects what I think the intent was. I'm not so sure the additional number, total additional tax increase is relevant or correct. At the end of the day, I believe what happens is when this is fully taxed, we will get $21,000, $21,478.50 each year because of that increased value, but it's in year 6 and afterwards. So I think and it probably does say that the tax rate will change. So this is just as an example. There is the word document is spelled incorrectly at the bottom of that Exhibit A, attachment A rather. But you're right, it did come before us before, Jace.
Any questions? I know Michelle is here. She's able to speak on this if anybody has any questions for her also. Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
Yes.
Councilman Messier?
yes,
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Discussion and ratification of Executive Order 2020-6 of the Town Manager amending Executive Order 2020-1, a declaration of a state of emergency dated May 29th, 2020, to extend the state of emergency in the town of West Warwick until Thursday, August 6th, 2020.
I'll move the executive order.
second,
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Any comment or any?
Excuse me, this is the basic extension we're doing on a monthly basis during the pandemic, and as long as the governor has her emergency declaration in place. So she's increased it or extended it to August 3rd. It's going to be extended for many, many months, probably to the end of the year, if not further. So this is to keep up with her declarations of emergency. So at the local level, we have the same ability to take whatever measures are necessary for the public health, safety, welfare. So this has sadly become a monthly routine for us to extend our own local emergency declaration, as long as the governor is doing so.
Thank you, Ernie. Any questions for Ernie? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
Yes.
Councilman Messier?
yes,
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico?
Yes.
I'll vote yes.
Discussion action, the police department is seeking permission to proceed with a proposal to develop a storage area on land adjacent to Legion Way that partially sits on land owned by the town, the state, and the American Legion Post 2. The proposal was tabled in September 2019 due to the delay in receiving permission from RIDOT to use the land. Written authorization is expected within a week. The projected cost for the project is approximately $36,000, as estimated by our building official, Robert Asselone. The project will be funded by residual FY 2017 capital reserve. $46,000 is available.
Do we need to make a motion to move this off the table? Because it was tabled.
If it was tabled originally for the purposes of the RIDOT, and now that the RIDOT is anticipated to give its approval, I would say yes, move it off the table.
Motion to move it off the
item-
table. Second.
Moved and seconded. Moved by Councilwoman
Whatever.
Williamson, seconded by Councilman D'Amico. All in favor to move back on the table?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Now I need a motion to move.
I'll make a motion to move item 13A for discussion.
Second.
Chief, Colonel Knott, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Good evening. As a refresher, this pertains to a memo that I sent back in September of 2019, and I believe it was the first meeting in October that we talked about it. The holdup has been the Rhode Island Department of Transportation giving us permission to use the land, which I spoke to one of their officials about a week and a half ago, and they are back online having their meetings again. So I anticipate having a letter from them this week, if not by next week. Again, just as a refresher, the police department has grown tremendously in both the number of personnel and storage needs since our current building was constructed. We're constantly assessing our facility and trying to make the appropriate upgrades whenever possible and prudent. I've identified a significant need to upgrade our storage capabilities, both equipment and some evidence storage, to make our operations as efficient, safe, secure, and user-friendly as possible. So I proposed back then to set up an off-site storage location on land across Legion Way. As mentioned, it's partially owned by the town, a small sliver by the American Legion, and the bulk of it by the state of Rhode Island. The Department of Transportation is the one that authorizes that use. And like I said, I anticipate having that. I've worked with our building official, Bob Asselone. We anticipate working together to kind of be the general contractor for it and going through the process. Again, as a refresher, it's essentially going to be 2 storage containers with enhanced locking mechanisms, which will be hooked up to a nearby electrical meter so we can have some dehumidifier climate control for items that could potentially be stored there. The containers would be secured to cement footings and a roof would be attached, just trusses, and affixed to those containers. A concrete slab would be poured in between to facilitate protecting outdoor storage of a vehicle or our radar trailers or anything that we need to protect. Be protected by an internal alarm and a 6-foot chain link fence also, which would be covered by our current video surveillance system from the back of our building. Building official Assalone estimated that the cost would be slightly over $32,000 back in September when we first looked at this, but we would go through the proper financial procedures in putting the bids together and going for RFPs on the portions that we need to. And those things would be funded through our fiscal year 2017 capital reserve that I have available.
Any questions for Colonel Knight? With that being said, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes, definitely. Makes perfect sense.
Councilman Messier,
yes,
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you.
Patuxent Valley Preservation and Historical Society's construction of an addition to the former Crompton Library building. This discussion will include and is not limited to project status update, funding, and both a determination of the process to begin the project and the town of West Warwick's role.
I'll move item 13B for discussion.
We don't have to move it. We can
I'll
just,
second.
Oh, okay.
I'll let actually Councilman Licciardi speak. I have a little background being on the council a little longer, but it's definitely his ward, and he's been in contact with Mr. Tellier, who is also here tonight. And, you know, Jay and I have had some conversation about this, and we thought we need to bring this before the council. Jay?
I met with the Historical Society, led by Mr. Tellier, back before the COVID started, and they had expressed interest to put an addition to the building that's there, and they actually had come before the council, I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a few years ago, I believe in 18,
Actually,
and let us know. What's that?
before that, Jay, actually, Councilman Giroux was on the council. I was on the council.
That was before me then.
Yes, it was actually before you when the council actually approved them moving forward with the addition, going back between 6-7 years ago.
So they're looking to get started, and they're looking to fund this project, similar to just them funding the upkeep on the existing building. So this is just coming before the council so that they can discuss, you know, where they want to go with this and how they're going to do it. So Jerry, if you're there, I'd like you to take over.
Jerry, you can, I think you're unmuted, so you should be able to speak.
Okay.
Just state your name and address for the record.
Jerry Tellier, 136 Burlingame Road, president of Patuxent Valley Historical Society. We started this back in 2016. Our records go back. And we had come to the town to seek permission to do an addition. In the process, we were given permission, and as the plans were going forward, we met with an architect and design, then we had to go to the state for approval because it's a historic building. They didn't like the design. We redesigned it to their specifications, and we finally got approval. Well, when we come back to the council, things were messed up with our lease. What happened was our lease was expired. So it took a process going through that to renew our lease. And we finally have the resolution. It's number 2018-35, renewing our lease. and authorizing the Historical Society to construct an addition to the former Crompton Library building. So we have money available. We don't have enough money to complete this project. We have enough money to get the foundation and the structure completely weather tight, including windows, roof, ramp. But we do not have the additional money to do the finish work at this time. We met in March, actually probably the week before COVID all shut everything down. And we put everything on hold because you guys had a lot more important stuff to deal with. But we would like to get this project going, and we need your permission. And we're willing to communicate with either the town manager or anybody who you appoint to show where our money has come from, where it's going, how we're spending it. And this is a much needed addition. We're just outgrowing the building. So, and that's where we are.
So Jerry, just to be clear, this is not taxpayer money. This is money from the West Warwick Historic Society.
That's correct.
You've made it clear that you don't have enough to fully finish the project, but to get it sealed and ready to go and probably do little by little after that. You'll still have to follow the proper permitting process as far as submitting your plans into the building official.
Yes. Yep. Well, we had done that, and this is prior to the current building inspector.
Yeah.
So all our setbacks are proper. That is tentatively been approved, but we understand the permitting process. I talked to Pam, being we may be able to get a state rate instead of an actual rate. I don't know how that works. We'll have to check with her, but we are aware of that. And we also have a contractor who is going to be doing some volunteer work for us to save on our cost, which is the excavation for the foundation. And like I said, we have everything in order. We just need the final permission from the council.
And again,
and this is not going to cost the town any money.
And again, I supported this years ago when you first brought it to the previous council. I support it now. I think it's going to be a great addition for the building down there. And personally, like you said, it's not coming out of taxpayer money. And even though the taxpayers do use that building, or they can visit the building, but again, you guys have been pretty good with raising money down there and to get that process going. And again, like I said, you got to follow all the same processes and inspections, whether it's a foundation inspection, a building inspection by our building official. So I don't have a problem with any of that.
Yeah, we have a certified builder, and he knows all the process. And I don't want to cut any corners. I want it done properly. And like I said, if we can get your permission, then we can meet with my board and we can start the process.
Any other comments from
I'd just like to add,
Mr.
I'd like
President?
to add to,
Councilman Licciardi? And then I'll let
Yep,
Solicitor
I
Williams-
just, oh, Tim, do you want to go?
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know that we did have an extensive meeting back on March 5th. And I think, Jerry, you were correct. It was right before the pandemic hit. And Ernie was there. And I believe, I don't know if our building official was there, Ernie. Do you recall if he was?
He was not.
Okay.
No, he was not.
There's a couple of issues that I'm concerned with, and I want the council to know what they are, and then that might help in the discussion. But again, it's a great project. Everyone that's familiar with the smaller confines that they have right now realize that they have outgrown their building. But we can't escape the fact that this is a public works project because it's a municipal building. And as long as the town and the state or the feds don't provide any money, we're going to be able to avoid some things like the Bacon-Davis Act and some of the wage parameters from DLT. But because it is a public works project, the issue is going to be possibly someone could challenge it basically because the town, as the owner of the property, is now allowing the commercial tenant to act in its stead. And that way, theoretically, you're avoiding a lot of transparency issues, particularly with the bid process, whether or not it's going to be a competitive bid. By allowing the commercial tenant to control everything, you're kind of ignoring a lot of what's in state law and local ordinance regarding bidding process, the RFQ or RFP, the selection of a contractor, having the appropriate contractor's bond. But having said that, if in fact the commercial tenant, obviously the Historical Society, provides the town with all of the information as it's moving forward, I think by ways of either resolution or ordinance, the town, because you're not selling the property, which would take an act of the townspeople at a financial town meeting, it just has to be a little bit more transparent as to what's going on. So in case a citizen inquires, the town either on a monthly or quarterly basis will have information as it relates to what's going on. So for example, with the permitting process and licensing and fees and all that stuff, that has to be upfront. Obviously, Jerry, the first issue would be the foundation. So once the foundation was going in, it's almost like there's not going to be a clerk of the works and there's not going to be a building committee, but someone's going to have to report back to the council and to the building official, probably on a monthly basis, to let them know what's going on, because the citizens, through its council, owns the property. And we don't want to get jammed up with somebody going to court saying they didn't follow the right process, they have not been transparent, they're allowing things to go on that shouldn't have gone on because there was no bid, there was no no competitive bid. So my concern has always been the fact that we have a commercial tenant basically dictating what they want to do, which is fine because they're going to bear the expense. But the council has to know that should any monies come in excess of $1,000 from either the state, federal, or municipal government, now you're subject to Bacon Davis, you're subject to the DLT's wage parameters. So, I mean, we just have to keep control of the ball because it is your property, or the town's property, excuse me.
Tim, I can understand what you're saying there, but there have been many, per se, town properties that are leased right now that have had major construction on them, addition, whatever it may be. And it's been done through volunteerism, raising money, and whatever it is, and not taxpayer money. And
Well, that's the key, Dave. As long as there's no taxpayer dollars involved, I think the council, within its authority, has the power to do what you want to do and allow the tenant to do it. All I'm suggesting is that the council be kept up to date either by Jerry or the building official as to what's going on, because obviously these types of buildings, the foundation is going to go in first. Then you got your exterior construction, and then the roof, and then it's going to be sealed up. And then I would assume, Jerry, once you get additional funding, you'll be able to begin your interior work.
Correct. We,
Right, those are the three processes would be foundation, the construction, and the roof, correct?
correct.
Get it sealed, get it airtight, and then you can move inside. But like I said, I just don't want to get jammed up if someone happens to challenge us because it is a town property. And Dave, I do agree with you, but just because it was done in the past doesn't mean it was done correctly in the past.
Could I
So
just,
would it make sense? Oh, go ahead.
So Tim, can we just require the Historical Society board or representative, can we place that on the agenda, put it as a requirement to place it on the agenda for the second meeting of every month?
That's fine, because that's a great way to update everybody as to what's going on. And it also allows the Historical Society to provide the council with information if there's any issues that come up, like the Historical Society, that the town could possibly assist the Historical Society in resolving. So that would be a great idea.
yeah, I have
Okay.
no problem with that. Just to add, in the past, and I know it's maybe a poor example, but like we had to replace our boiler. So we advised the town, we pulled the proper permit, we selected a boiler guy, we had it installed, and we paid. There was never a question. We did chimney repairs. We've done entry repairs, well into the thousands. And this has never been a question. And I just want to make sure everything is done correct. And that's all. And Tim was very good in speaking about his concerns at the meeting with Ernie and myself and Councilman Licciardi. And then the corona hit and now we're here. So hopefully we can move forward. But
So can I suggest having another meeting with your group, with Jason, with Ernie and myself, laying out the parameters as to, I mean, obviously, once the council provides the authority, just laying out the parameters of a timetable, and then we can, the clerk can add the project, like Jason suggested, on the second meeting of each month for the council to get an update.
that's fine.
Any other questions?
I'd make a motion then that we approve allow the Patuxent Valley Preservation and Historical Society to move ahead with the construction project.
Second that.
That being said, any other comment? Hearing none. I'll
We need
take
a roll. Do we need a roll call?
Yeah, I want to take a roll call.
Yeah.
Councilman Licciardi,
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you very much.
Judy T Dance Studios looking for sponsorship contributor for their scholarship fund.
Judy T is actually very on point with her.
Oh, Dave, I don't want to, Dave, before you go on, I want to recuse myself, okay?
Okay, Councilman Messier is recusing himself. Judy T sends us in every year, right around the same time. So I think she's got it on a calendar to remind herself to send it in. Does anybody have a problem? It's usually $100. You go into the, I know she's not having any types of events this year. And we would normally go inside a flyer. And I think once that opens back up, she'll be putting us in that event flyer. And we can go from there. Does anybody have a problem with that?
So the only thing I would say is that I would certainly support placing an ad in a program book, but not a scholarship fund. I think you just open a can of worms when you start doing things like that. So it looks like that we would receive recognition in a program booklet in the fall, and I would certainly be willing to place an ad in the program booklet.
We do the same thing for the Sons of Italy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again,
I'm not sure if they're going to have their events, so maybe
that's okay. But it's not for the scholarship fund. We gave to a scholarship fund last month.
For the Sons of Italy, it's a program book, and our ad is
Yes.
in it.
Yeah.
Our picture is in it.
Yeah.
Correct. So I would support that, but again, not for the scholarship fund.
So
Technically, what they do with it. Yeah.
So Jay, what happens with Judy? It's almost the same thing. Judy T, when she does her dance events and she puts our picture in there, and the money they raise for these events, she puts towards a scholarship. So normally she puts in for advertising into that event, but unfortunately those events may not happen. So I'll reach out to her and I'll find out if she's going to have an event and it's going to be in a booklet, and then I'll get back to the council.
Okay.
So we'll just take no action on that.
It actually does say in the letter that recognition will be given in our program booklet in the fall. I don't know if that's just a form letter or not, but yes.
Yeah, it's hopefully when they get back in the rhythm of things.
Okay.
So I'll talk to her and I'll give her a heads up. Maybe she can come back before us in September.
So no action?
No action on that tonight.
Okay. Public comment, designated portion of town council's open meeting for citizens to address comments to the town council relating to matters affecting public business. Comments will only be addressed to the town council, who will take them under advisement. When addressing the town council, please state your name and address. Please conduct yourself in an orderly and respectful fashion. The comments of the citizens accessing this portion of our meeting are neither adopted nor endorsed by this body, but heard as requested. Members of the town council, being duly elected public body as identified in RIGL 42-46-23, have no obligation to respond to the public's comments.
I do have one quick comment, just based upon the agenda. We just want to make sure, we did a lot of correcting here tonight. If we can make sure that it's correct the first time, we won't be spending 10, 15, 20 minutes in corrections per item. And I know it's been a little hectic the past couple of weeks. I know we're down an employee due to family matters, but I want to make sure that this agenda is good. And the other question I do have for Mary Ann is, I just received an email tonight asking if there's going to be printed copies of the budget at Town Hall by any chance. So I'm not saying make 100 copies, but maybe we want to make 10 copies, put them in the lobby so people can come get them if they would like.
Well, I think that would probably be Kristen's, unless you just want me to print them off the,
Well, who normally does it for the town financial meeting?
the finance brings them.
I'll just print them and put them up there.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Not
If you
many.
want, we just let us know when they're done. I'll send somebody down to get them and they can put them out in the lobby.
All right, we just don't want to make a ton of them, but just in case somebody wants them.
I have
David,
one question to it.
Generally in
You go.
we actually made the copies from the town manager's office for the financial town meeting.
Okay, thank you. Elaine.
So if Kristen wants to send up the final budget, either to me or Cindy, I'll make sure that it gets printed and is available.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
The question I had was, for the agenda, is there a spot on the town website where people can locate it now? I mean, I just obviously view it straight from my email directly, and I know it's on the Secretary of State's website, but I know the website changed a little bit. So is it somewhere else now? Because it used to be in the spot where you clicked agendas, and it's not there anymore.
Yes, you go to current agendas on the website, go into current, and on the left, you'll see town council. You click on town council and it will give you agendas and minutes
Okay.
and a way to get into
Alright,
the
great.
actual meeting, the Zoom.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't do it on your phone though, Jay.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, all right.
Well, it
Yes, you
doesn't,
can.
it doesn't, the attachments don't show up like they should, I don't think. So,
They come out
They don't
long.
show up as much as they do on your computer, but you can get
Correct.
to them. It's a pain.
Yeah, they come out
Looks
very
better on
late.
your computer.
right.
All right. I'll play around with it. I'll look. It's not a huge deal, but I know a couple people asked me, so thanks.
Yeah, the link is when you go on a laptop or an iPad or whatever, it's easier to get to, but yeah, difficult on your phone.
Yeah, and I'm sure that most people, at least three-fourths, are probably looking on their phone anyway. So.
All right, we have 5 attendees and 17 panelists. Does if you
Steve,
want-
can I add one thing?
Give me 1 second, Jay. If anybody wants to speak as an attendee, just raise your hand. And Councilman Licciardi?
This may seem a little trivial, but I know when we've always met in town council chambers, and for the first couple meetings on Zoom, on the agenda we've always had the pledge and the opening prayer, and I don't know how you guys feel. I'd like to reinstate that, even if we're at home. I think with everything going on in the country, I think it just makes sense to have that, to keep that on our agendas. It'll take about 5 minutes, and not looking for John to open up as a reverend tonight, but
Listen, I'm always ready,
I don't know.
Councilman.
I don't know. I don't know how anybody else feels. I'd like to just.
I think
I'd like
that's
to
a
put
good
it back
idea.
on.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I'll ask for it to be put back on. Actually, Mary Ann, you're here, so
Thank you.
Should we put some sort of a flag on the screen when we're saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
we're gonna have to.
Yes.
And that question came from my 10-year-old daughter, so And I didn't know how to answer.
Ernie, change your
Thank you
background to
again.
the flag next time. Any public comment? I see nobody raising their hand.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, everybody, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Have a good night. Mr. Hool, thank you. Mr. Botello, thank you for your lovely assistance on Zoom.
You're very welcome, Mr. President.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Evening.
you. Yeah.